When I was 10, my father decided who I should marry.
This is your wife.
I have a wife?
But I was in love with the girl next door.
You should talk to her instead of being a peeping Tom.
I'm sitting here at AMC Mercado in Santa Clara, where Growing Up Smith is playing, and I'm sitting with the writer, actor, and producer, Anjul Nigam. Thank you for being with us here today.
Thank you for having me.
What was the inspiration behind creating a film around the topic of immigration?
Well, when we started working on this movie over 10 years ago, the conversation about immigration wasn't as divisive as it's become. But ultimately, we were telling a story which is about childhood heroes, about growing up in a small town, fish out of water, and it's about first love, which are universal themes. And we wanted to tell these universal themes from the perspective of a 10-year-old immigrant boy, which I myself am an immigrant child who grew up in small-town Connecticut in the 70s and 80s. So a lot of it is borrowed from that. It was also written by a gentleman by the name of Greg Scott Houghton, who based his writings on his roommate named Ramesh Raju, who grew up in Oklahoma. And my other writer, there's 3 writers on this, Greg Scott Houghton, myself, and Paul Quinn, had grown up as a child of Irish immigrant family. So it's a kind of a combination of many stories, but ultimately you realize that we all have similar experiences.
How did you came from India?
Yeah, I was born in India, and I grew up in Connecticut, in a small town. And as I was growing up, I used to watch a lot of American television, and this will date me for sure. I used to watch TV shows like The $6 Million Man and Charlie's Angels, and those were some of my favorite shows. And one of my favorite movies was The 10 Commandments. And after I'd seen it, I remember I took a stick and I called it my staff, and I'd sit there like, now you'll see the power of God, and I'd open up the Red Sea, which was our lawn in our front yard. So that's what got me into it. And when it came time to apply for colleges, I decided to. My parents actually convinced me that, hey, you're going to do this, then go really do it right. And I ended up applying for colleges with a degree in drama, and I got into New York University, the Tisch School of Arts, and I had an undergrad degree in drama major.
Yeah, and speak of that, in light of the recent immigration activities, what impact do you think that the message this film has on the recent climate?
I think we're here to give you a picture of that no matter what side you're on, there's a story to be heard from the other side as well. You know, we all have stories to tell, we all have emotions, we all... You know, what's Shakespeare's line from The Merchant of Venice? If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you wrong us, you know, it comes back to that we're all human beings, ultimately, and we need to be able to step back and say, hey, where are you coming from, and how can I be a part of your life without confronting each other?
Yeah. And how did your perception of the American dream change while creating this film, and if at all?
I think the American dream is alive and well. I think it's something we need to trust that if we give 110% to anything that we do, we're going to see the kind of outcomes that we hope for.
And we see that you're very active in Hollywood films. Is there any desire to step over and look into the Indian film industry?
If anyone ever is interested in hiring me in the Indian film industry, as long as they know that I don't sing or I don't dance. So if you're looking for a tone-deaf, klutzy actor, I'm available for sure.
All right.
But you know, I am a writer, so maybe one of the movies that we'll make soon enough will incorporate an actor who's clumsy and who's tone-deaf. And guess what? I know somebody who may play it. You know, the funny question that I often find people asking is, you're Indian, do you always play Indian roles? Yeah. And there's a little bit of a humor in that, in the sense that, well, I'm certainly not going to play African American, I'm not, and I'm not going to play Irish, I'm not. I think the questions need to be taken a look at a little bit more carefully. I think the questions need to be about as an actor, do you find significant, substantial, three-dimensional roles? Do you find those kind of opportunities? For me, those opportunities have evolved, perhaps for a combination of reasons. One, because the more you work, the more significant your credentials become, the more opportunities you get for significant, substantial roles. And then the other being that as every generation goes through their progression in the melting pot, the more opportunities come up that are, I guess we can call them colorblind. You know, so where the ethnicity isn't relevant to the storyline, but hopefully the role is still significant and substantial, right? And it has three dimensions.
Yeah. Do you think the entertainment industry is a viable profession?
Absolutely. I think any profession you choose, as long as you're committing 110% to it, and you're making it a part of your everyday commitment, I think you'll find a certain level of success. Certainly it doesn't have the same kind of natural progression where, like, if you're a doctor, you go to med school and then you go become an intern and you become a resident doctor and then you're a fellow. It doesn't necessarily have that kind of a progression, but I do think there's an opportunity that if you're really committed to it, you'll reap the benefits of it. You'll realize your American dream in Hollywood.
Thank you again for taking the time out to speak with us, and I wish all the best for the film.
Thank you for having me. Hey, I'm Anjul Nigam, and you're watching me on Sitare TV.